In this lecture, we will go over the process of launching a Linux virtual machine in Azure Cloud. Alright, so I have logged back into Azure portal, and in order to get started, first we need to click on Create a Resource. Now this is the Azure Marketplace, so we have here available pre-built images operating systems like Windows Server, Ubuntu Server, and other things that you might see on the screen. So we said that we want to create first a Linux machine, so I will click on Ubuntu Server. And now the process started. So first, create a virtual machine, we have to go over some steps, the basics, disks, networking, management, advanced, tags, and last, review and create. So the project details, we are using the free trial subscription. And now we have here what is called the resource group. We'll talk more about resource groups later, but for now we can think of them as labels or as a folder. So when you create a project, when you run a project, you will create all of the resources related to that specific project and put them in what is called a resource group. So a resource group is a collection of resources that share the same lifecycle, permissions, and policies. So we might select an existing one or create a new one. Let's create one that we will use throughout the course. So clicking on create new, and let's say here that this is AZ900-RG from resource group, and I will click OK. Now the instance details, so the virtual machine name, I will call this web server and 01. So this is the first web server. So actually, as you will see, once we progress with the lectures in this module, we will configure the Linux machine to act as a web server. So that's why I'm calling this web server 01. The region, so I can select here a region from the list. So we have talked about regions. Let me just choose Europe and West Europe. Now, in terms of availability options, we have covered that in the last lecture. No infrastructure redundancy required, or here we have availability zones, which are not available for all of the regions, remember that. Virtual machine scale set, which is currently in preview here, and availability set, good. For now, no infrastructure redundancy is required, so I'll leave it as it is. Now the image, so the operating system that will run and will be pre-installed on this virtual machine, in this case is Ubuntu Server with this specific version. I can select here from a bunch from this list, but now it's good that we continue with the Ubuntu Server. Continuing on is the size. So we have talked about VM family sizes. So there is a description here, you can read it if you like. For now we will just change the size. Now why is that? Remember that in the free trial we have B1S. So B1S is being covered with 750 hours per month free in the first 12 months. So let's go with this one, B1S. We will have one virtual CPU, 1 gig of RAM, and let me see, no, the NIC card is not present here, but we know already we have at least one network interface card. So I'm selecting B1S, then I will go down and click on select. And now you see that the VM size changes and it reflects the changes that we have made. Now the authentication type refers to how are you going to authenticate when you try to connect to the machine. Now SSH public key is one option, but for now password is good. We have to define username and password. So for the username I can try admin, but it says here that usernames must not include reserved words. So let's try to use, for example, Azure admin. Let's try to do that. So Azure admin, good. So I have the green tick here. Now for the password, so this is the administrator password for the VM. If I say admin, then it says that I have like 12 characters at least. So I'll type admin again. Then I have one lowercase, one uppercase, one number, one special character. So admin, 1, 2, 3, and exclamation mark. And that looks good. And again, admin, 1, 2, 3, exclamation mark. Or put whatever you want here. Inbound port rules, so select which virtual machine network ports are accessible from the public internet. You can specify more limited or granular network access on the networking tab. Anyway, the allow selected port, SSH port 22 is good. I said that because it's a Linux machine, we will try to connect through SSH to this VM. Good, now let's continue with disks. So clicking on disks, I have the OS disk size, so the default is 30 gig. And this is the disk type. So we have covered what are the options. So standard, HDD, SSD, and premium SSD. Anyway, I will leave everything as it is now. And I could also add another disk. So as in a regular PC, workstation, or laptop or whatever, you can have multiple hard drives. But this is not the case now. It is not needed. I will leave it as it is. So nothing changed, and just click on networking. Now for the networking, we have to select one virtual network. So this is our own private, let's say, data center, but running in Azure Cloud. For the virtual network, let's see what we type here. So create new. The name should be, let's try AZ900 and then VNet. The address range, so 10.0.0, let's say here /16. Just like in the example we run in the presentation. Subnets, so let's say the subnet should be subnet 1, and the address range 10.0.10/24. Good, so again AZ900 VNet, this is the virtual network, then 10.0.0/16, this is the IP address range. And we're creating subnet 1 with 10.0.10/24. Good. Let me just say OK. And now we have the virtual network here, AZ900 VNet. Good. The subnet, because we can have multiple subnets here, but now, for now, only one, is 10.0.10. And we also have a public IP. So remember, use a public IP address if you want to communicate with the virtual machine from outside the virtual network. This is what we want. So this is good that we have here an IP. I will leave the rest as it is. So the NIC network security group, we will cover this in just a couple of lectures. We are allowing SSH access. Good. Accelerating networking, load balancing, nothing that we should care for now. Management. Now management, I will leave everything as it is here. Just click on advanced. Extensions, cloud init for scripting, other information. I don't need to change anything here as well. I will click tags. Tags we will cover in an upcoming module as well. For now, let's say name, and this is web server 01. And I will add another tag. Let's say this is just tag and AZ900. So tags are just labels. We will create these tags when we create any resource here in Azure, and it will make sense, or it will make more sense once we progress with the course. And we also have dedicated lectures on tags, labels, resource groups, and so on. But anyway, any resource we will create here, we'll put the tag AZ900. So now, in order to continue, review and create, now we have the chance to review our configuration. So product details, this is a standard B1S virtual machine. Subscription credits apply. All right, this is the pricing. If we go down, we see our configuration. So the basics, region, the name of the virtual machine, username, Azure admin, disk, also management, advanced, tagging, and so on. So now what we need to do is just click on create. And once we click create, we see here in the notifications that something is happening. So I did say that in the notification, if you click the notification icon and the pane just expands, you will see deployment in progress. So now let's wait for the deployment to be completed. So the deployment is complete and it took around 2 minutes. Now how cool is that? Really, in 2 minutes you can have your virtual machine running in the cloud. So I will click here the notification tab and I can click on go to resource. And now I have specific information related to this virtual machine only. So web server 01. This is just the overview. So we are running this in the resource group AZ900RG. The location West Europe, subscription, computer name, operating system size. These are the tags. So name, web server 01, and also the tag with the name tag AZ900. We have what is called the public IP address, so this will be good, and we will use that in order to connect to the virtual machine, and a private IP address. So 10.0.1.4, which is part of the subnet 1. So there are a lot of options here, and we will cover just a couple of them. For the AZ900, again, you don't need to go through any labs, but you will learn more. The information will stay longer with you if you also go through the labs, and I hope that you will find this fun as well. Thank you, and see you in the next lecture.